I think you've got a very clear economic outlook in Europe, which is the Eurozone economy is accelerating. And I think it's highly likely that expectations of Eurozone growth are going to have to be revised upwards. And, you know, for 2017 as a whole, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see Eurozone growth, you know, close to 2%. Now, to put that in context, whereas Eurozone growth is improving, let's not get too excited about 2%, American growth is decelerating. And, you know, you had very clear statement from the Fed last week saying the probability of growth in America reaching 3% is very low. You've had a forecast from the IMF with which I agree. That growth in America this year is going to be 2.1%. So whereas before the growth differential in 2015 and 2016 very much favoured dollar assets, now that growth differential is switching back in favour of Europe. Now, that doesn't mean that dollar euro is going to 125 immediately, but it does mean that the period of euro weakness, I think, is now behind us.
Bob, are people adequately factoring in how disruptive Brexit may be to the Europeans? We all know how disruptive it's going to be to the UK, and people seem to think that because it's going to be potentially more disruptive to the UK, they're forgetting what this could actually do to destabilise Europe, because of course it will prompt some fundamental questions over the long-term structure of the EU.
I think the answer to that is absolutely correct. And you know, I think the real answer is we have got extreme uncertainty. We do not know how the Brexit negotiations you know, will evolve. And we don't know whether the timetable of March 2019 is going to be adhered to. I think, frankly, the probability of that happening is close to zero. You know, we have the new leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Vince Cable, actually saying today, well, perhaps we won't have Brexit after all. So
this is the former business secretary who failed to have a bonfire of red tape that he promised us when he was in coalition in 2010. Just to confirm who we're talking about
yes,
here.
Absolutely,
okay.
yes. But, you know, but my serious point is that we have uncertainty about the outcome on Brexit. Obviously, there is uncertainty about the impact on the rest of the European Union, and I think that could be one negative factor, which is why Eurozone growth, yes, it improves towards 2%, but are we going to get Eurozone growth going to 2.5 to 3%? No.
If we are doing, we're on a very clear trajectory in Europe of 2 to 2.5% growth. And
well, slightly lower, Steve.
Oh, right, okay, so 1.5, 2.5. So we're pottering along.
Yes.
Why are we on ECB life support?
Well, I don't think we need to be on ECB life support. And actually a very interesting conversation I had last week, which is if the ECB continues with quantitative easing of 60 billion per month, by the time we reach September, October, in fact, there may be a shortage of German government bonds so that the ECB won't actually have the paper which it wants to buy. So technically, I think inevitably we have to go in September, October to 40 billion a month. And I think that, as we move into 2018, quantitative easing by the ECB probably in the second quarter of next year will end. So all this debate about the ECB tapering, I don't think we need a debate. They are going to taper.
We'll come back to